Corner Shop with Brimful of Asha. You can tell that at first he was like, yeah, singing and dancing. No, but I like dancing more. So it's dancing and dancing and dancing.
You know what? This song is actually inspired by film culture in India. It's a tribute to a Bollywood actress called Asha Mosley. Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. Okay, then the singing and the dancing and the dancing and dancing and dancing makes complete sense. Good morning. Welcome to the Brightside. And we're joined in the studio with a dear friend, Clara Locke, from the Straits Times. And she is just back after being away for 3 months. We've missed you, girl. Oh, they are. Yes, here you go.
It's great to be back.
We must say, welcome back, assistant life editor.
Yeah, new role, huh? In this new year. How exciting. And you were actually away for 3 months in Oxford in England for a fellowship. What happens in a fellowship? We're going to talk about that on our Facebook Live. But for now, though, so you were there for 3 months, really got to explore the place, right? Mm-hmm. And you've got like some fun stuff that one can do in Oxford if we happen to visit it.
Lots to do.
Wait, first up, where is Oxford? Which part of the UK? North, south, east, west?
Okay, Oxford is an hour and a half from London. So you can easily do a day trip. And then there's lots to do there. So apart from the university, which is so grand and medieval looking, it's also the filming backdrop of many Harry Potter movies. So there are lots of Potterheads there, and then they come dressed up in their robes and they take pictures at the university.
So cute. I was just wondering if you see a lot of tourists, on campus.
Quite a lot of tourists, because there's actually lots to do. So there's the Harry Potter stuff, there's the historical university stuff, and there's also actually a lot of outdoor activities. And one classic thing to do is going punting.
What's punting?
Punting is like when you're in a boat and then you steer it. Instead of with an oar, you have the long stick and then you push off from the back of the boat. So it's a very classic thing in Oxford and in Cambridge.
Oh, it looks like a gondola?
A little bit like a gondola.
The Venetian gondola.
Right.
So
cool.
like a gondola, you can get someone to punt it for you. You can get a chauffeur, or you can get a chauffeur and then ask them to teach you, so you try it yourself.
Did you do it?
I tried.
Did you fall in the water?
Well, so the moving forward is easy. The steering is not so easy. So if you don't have a guide, you might end up going in circles.
Okay. Very good travel tip there.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share with us?
Another thing that's beautiful is that Oxford is surrounded by all these great hikes that are actually really easy and low effort for city people. So you can walk half an hour out of the city centre. There's this hike, for example, called Port Meadow, and you walk through this field where there are like all these wild ponies and they have shaggy coats and they just wander around you. They're so tame, they're so beautiful, and if you go just when the sun is setting, the evening golden hour light is so magical.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, and with ponies is roaming free.
Okay, so even though we're not studying at Oxford, it's still a good reason to go visit.
Oh, for sure. If you're ever in London, just take a day trip out, take the train or take the bus. It's an hour or so.
Very nice. Well, Clara, you were there for 3 months. You basically lived in the city. So when we're going to hop onto Facebook Live in just a moment, and we're going to find out about the differences, being a tourist there as opposed to someone who's actually living there. Come and hear all about it. Facebook.com/1FM913.
Good times. Greatest hits.
1FM 91.3.
Hey everyone, how's it going? A very good morning to you, and welcome to Clara Locke. So
welcome to Clara.
Welcome, Clara. Sorry, to thank you, Brightside.
My goodness.
So 3 months over in Oxford, and you lived there. What was it like? I mean, what are the big differences? Have you ever been there before as a tourist?
No, I had not. And you always hear about Oxford, right? It's like this name, this university brand. I think when you're there, there's a lot more time to slow down and to appreciate the sights in a way that's not so frenetic as opposed to like a 2 or 3 day trip. So something I realized was beautiful is all the various colleges in Oxford. There are 43 colleges.
Wow.
And each one has its own personality and buildings and architecture. So I got to see a lot of this, go to see the different libraries, go to listen to talks and just to wander around and be among all this history.
So you were there for your fellowship. What did that entail?
So basically, it's a journalism fellowship. It's run by the Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism. Wow. And we are there to do research that will improve the practice of journalism, basically. So because my role is travel journalism, I was there to research how we can incorporate bigger themes into travel writing. things like geopolitics, gender issues, community development issues, and to have these big ideas come out in the lifestyle section of the newspaper as well.
Wow, that's quite the challenge though, right? To make it appealing, relevant to everyone. And I guess it's true because, people are seeking for their travels to be so much more than just a holiday, right?
That's something I realized as I was talking to editors and journalists from around the world, that people want to experience a place in its entirety. They no longer want to go somewhere and take a bunch of pictures and leave.
Yep.
And so this idea of holistic travel ties in very nicely to the travel reporting that we can do that can illuminate a place, but also how it factors into all these big ideas in the world.
That is wonderful. Any tips for someone who might be heading on over to Oxford to stay for a longer period of time?
To stay for a long time, definitely take all this time to immerse yourself in the culture there. Try all the different types of food. Something interesting I learned is because Oxford is a university town, it's got diverse influences from around the world. I didn't expect to find mala xiang guo in Oxford. I was craving a taste of home, and then there's Sichuan Chinese food. And just all these unexpected things that you'll get to enjoy if you immerse yourself in a place for a long time.
Was there something that was specific to Oxford, let's say an Oxford pie or pasty or something?
Not a specific dish, but of course, it being Britain, you have to go to the pub, right? So I spent lots of time exploring the various pubs and all these different stouts and beers and lagers, and it was great.
Bangers and mash, fish and chips, that kind of thing.
Yes,
I'm wondering,
yes.
I'm wondering when did she have the time to do the research? Sounds like she really explored
She did it at the bar. So tell me about the history of this place.
Well, I'm a travel journalist, right? So this research is work as well.
Best job in the world. So what other fun things did you get up to in Oxford?
Other fun things. Well, we were talking about food. So there's pub food and then there's elevated pub food. So I discovered this pub that has 3 AA rosettes, which is like the British Culinary Excellence Award, a little bit like a Michelin star.
Wow.
And they had a really good value lunch set menu.
Okay.
And I had this dish that's called carbonara. But instead of pasta, they used sliver-thin slices of kohlrabi. So it's not heavy like pasta. It's very light and it's very refreshing. And it's a starter. So it's just this tiny portion. It's creamy and it's got the kohlrabi and it's got the pork cheek. And it's such a good combination of fatty and tender and refreshing. And it really whets your appetite for more. Like, that was a standout
What
dish
is
for me.
kohlrabi actually?
It's like a vegetable, like a cabbagey kind of thing, I think. And then they slice it really thin. And I think it's slightly pickled. So it's got a little bit of tartness.
Yeah.
Oh,
to
that's
counter the
interesting.
cheese.
Feels healthy, so you essentially had a salad.
It's healthy-ish.
That's how I would define it in my head. Like, yes,
That's what we tell ourselves.
That is so much fun. So you did everything that you could possibly do in Oxford.
Well, I don't think I did everything. Well, okay, I did everything in autumn. So I think if I came back in the summer or the spring, it would be a completely different experience, and I
that's a
would
good
absolutely
point.
come back again and see that in a different light.
Okay. And any other places that you would recommend? We're going to hear more about it in just a few seconds. You're about to share with us about the historical tours that you should do in Oxford, I do believe. So come and join us on our live on air at 1FM 91.3. Good times, greatest hits, as we hear more from Clara in just a bit. Hey, Clara. It's really good to have you back.
Oh, thanks. It's good to be back.
Welcome to Clara.
Welcome to Clara.
Welcome
Hey,
to Clara.
Arun wants to know, is
Yes.
the Oxford Dictionary a souvenir from Oxford?
Oh, I don't have the answer to that, so I guess I do have to go back in the summer.
Oh, you just gave her another reason. Well done, Arun. She's thanking you.
Come and join us on air, okay, Arlene?
It's Climby Fisher and Love Changes Everything here on 1FM 91.3 Good Times Greatest Hits. Good morning to you and welcome to the Brightside. So happy to welcome back to the studio our Straits Times correspondent who is now Assistant Life Editor, Clara Locke.
Hi.
Back from her fellowship over at Oxford University. We're just finding out what exactly that fellowship entailed and what were some of the fun things that you got to do while you were living in Oxford. Not just visiting, but living there as well.
How was the weather like? Because you were there during autumn. Good, just nice.
Classic English weather.
Oh, so a lot of rain and
Not the
everything.
best.
Nice, I like it.
But it does make you appreciate the blue skies a lot more.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
Do you find
okay.
yourself getting a little bit down? Because, my cousins who live there, they say, when you have a lot of grey skies, you feel a little bit depressed sometimes.
Oh.
I won't say depressed, but it's more like when there's a blue skies day, it's like, no more work, I'm going out.
Right.
And everyone does that.
Yes.
Everyone just heads to the park.
Everyone
and
just goes out for a
chum.
walk or like to be amongst nature.
Oh, that sounds lovely though. Yeah. Okay,
Tell us about some of these walking tours that
yes.
you discovered.
So in Oxford, it's such a historical city, but also because it has such a long legacy, it has these uneasy aspects of history as well. And you learn about this in a walking tour I took called Uncomfortable Oxford. So it's run by a social enterprise called Uncomfortable Oxford, and they talk about aspects of its history that the university is not quite proud of, but how it's trying to make reparations today. So, for example, until 1920, so in the late 1800s, women could take exams in Oxford University, but they were not conferred degrees. So you do all this work, but you can't be a graduate. And this was only rectified as recently as 1920, when women were the first graduates of Oxford University. So you learn about these gender issues in the tours, and you also learn about benefactors of some of the colleges who had links to the diamond trade or forced labor. So it's all these things that the university is now coming to terms with, and how they have erected plaques to tell people about certain statues of benefactors who have done this in the past. So it's acknowledging where we have come from, but also what history is evolving into as we move ahead into the future.
Actually, that's really enlightening, and it's so good to know that they're addressing it. They're not shying away from all these uncomfortable points of their history. I like it. Uncomfortable Oxford.
Yes.
Very, very cool indeed. So Clara, how can we find out more about your amazing travels those past 3 months?
Well, I've got a whole story written on Oxford, things to do there, as well as the walking tours. So you can go to our travel microsite at straitstimes.com/live/travel.
Okay, and you also have a social media account, I do believe. We can follow as well.
Yes, that's Spoke Such Scurvy. But if you can't spell that, just search Clara Lock on Instagram.
All right.
She's essentially walk the walk.
Definitely so. Definitely
so. Check out her article, yeah?
Well, Clara, thanks so much for joining us here on the Brightside early this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, happy Chinese New Year.
Hey,
and
same
have a
to
great
you.
year.
Love the red jacket.
Yeah, purposely one. I like it.
Clara.
Good times. Greatest hits.